Thank you very much, Hassan, for the introduction. I guess you spoiled all my slides already. So I hope you had a great break and are ready for the next sessions. This session will be about customer support engineering at Vinted, obviously. Before we dive in, a quick introduction to myself. So I'm Toby. I'm a staff engineer from Vinted, based in Berlin. I love pragmatic software design architecture, which you later probably will tell. But Vinted. First of all, maybe short hands. Who knows Vinted besides the facts you just heard? Oh, it's already a lot. Who bought or sold anything on Vinted? Okay. And who had contact with the customer support from Vinted? Okay, I remember your faces, and later I'm gonna ask you how it was. And maybe this presentation explains you a bit your experience. Anyhow, yeah, so our mission is we make secondhand the first choice worldwide. So far, we are Europe's largest online C2C marketplace for secondhand. We have our roots in fashion, but extending our so-called verticals furthermore. So we meanwhile moved into electronics, offer sport equipments, and many more. So my latest purchase was even a record. In numbers, we are founded in Lithuania more than 15 years ago. We have 75 million active users. We are active in 20 markets, mostly Europe. We have 15 different languages, and in total, we have 100 million supply at any time. So for example, this cap I purchased on Vinted. Just for this presentation. You're right. But that's not where Vinted stops. We actually offer further services depending on the market. For example, we have Vinted Go, which is our own carrier doing fulfillment in France and the Benelux states, which means we do the full end-to-end delivery. So we have lockers, we have our own trucks, our own electronic supported bicycles. And there the experience is that the seller would add the item to one of those lockers, we pick it up, we have warehouses, do the routing, and deliver it to the seller. This means we own the full end-to-end experience. Then for more higher value goods, we offer a verification service. This means the item will first go to that dedicated warehouse of us. We have specialists who check if it's a legit item, for example, designer fashion or something like this. And if that's the case, we would then finally deliver the item to the seller. The buyer, of course. Interestingly, this verification service even is based in Hamburg, so we have one office here. And the last service we added recently is Vinted Pay. That's live in Lithuania. This means when you purchase the item, even the full payment fulfillment is done by us. So this means we hold the money, we give a certain escrow service, and make sure that the purchase is secure and safe. From the day one, community was very important for Vinted. All of this would not be happen if there was not this C2C support, which means the users are able to chat together, they can bargain, or they can talk about the item, and then in the end purchase it, which then feels like an online shop. But given the situation and the size of Vinted, support is key here. In a support case, for us, we call it IHI, and IHI stands for I have an issue. In order to resolve it, over the years, we added a couple of services. The first one is a knowledge base, a typical FAQ system, where certain cases we would explain overall how shipping, how offering works, but what to do in case of delivery is delayed, didn't even arrive, or something like this. Of course, we needed a content management system behind. We offer a search, and would be the first go-to for our customers. Then we offered a dedicated customer support service, and here it works via chat. So in the same chat, you usually would talk to the other member. You can actually talk to one of our support agents. And for that, we have a custom in-house ticket system, which allows the agents to act. And this is connected to the user's data. So there's a CRM system built in. So they have all the data related to a transaction, to the user in one system. And in order to run this, we've built up a full customer support operations team, which then acts according to certain policies, to certain guidelines. They have templates for standard responses, and those we call process maps. With that setup, we were actually running quite well. We overall started technically as a monolith. So it's a Ruby Rails application, been around now for years. And that's where then our services was added. There's the FAQ content system in the back, in the monolith, the chat, of course, on the client side, and then we have a dedicated ticket system which is already running on its own. The agents, they have the policies and dedicated knowledge base, and they get trained, and based on their training, on the knowledge, they then are able to support and fix the case. This went quite well so far. Unfortunately, then we ran into this. In some languages, this is called brother. For us, and unfortunately means business has now an issue. So we are looking into user feedback, and we clearly saw the support is not good enough. It came to situations where users were addressing us, and the problem was just not resolved. There were cases where it's just too slow, the responses are too generic, too robotic, they just didn't help the users. And this is, of course, not the experience we want, right? We want them to feel like it's a fully helpful and owned purchase. We looked for the reasons of that and figured one problem is the content as such. We offer it as FAQ. It's outdated, it's missing. You can imagine for each country in all the languages, we have to offer those, and to maintain this complexity is quite high. So we ended up in not helpful content. The other problem we could figure is that even so the content may exist, the search would not reveal it. So we had cases where users then rather would search on Google in order to find what they're looking for. And lastly, when the user then escalates and wants a support agent for help, it just took very long and had a more or less low quality and didn't sometimes even not resolve the case. Technically, what we then identified is the monolith, very nice. It helped us to really ramp up and to met the business growth. But now, in that size, we have a high complexity, and it's actually very hard to innovate and to change things. So this leads to low velocity of the teams. Changes take time and leads to high costs. So we had to tackle this. On top, the question, of course, nowadays comes up, where is the AI? How do we put in new features? How to even leverage AI in a system which already is built like this? So to summarize, we cannot just scale like this. The first thing what happened is that we founded a dedicated domain. So the domain is called Help Experience, and we are the customer support engineering department for CS operations. It's now been 2 years, and we're working hard since then to get our systems up and running. The first thing technically we discovered was very known from a monolith to a microservice oriented architecture. So the first thing we had to do was modularization. We had to understand what's actually owned in our domain, what is related to customer support, what's related to FAQs, what's actually the data and the processes we have, and we can then improve. It was clear that service extraction then has to happen, right? We want to go out of the monolith. We want to have our own dedicated services and systems where we then can innovate. And here we try to follow the self-contained principle to make sure that a single service actually is fully capable of serving FAQs or other related processes. But still, it didn't really feel we will smash the issue with that. Yeah, we wanted to be closer and looked into the business. What strategy do they have? And here we came up with a nice picture, which actually helps us then further to align the architecture. So in rough, we made a funnel with the idea that at the very top, there's product, and somehow the user falls into the unhappy path, which is this funnel, and the deeper they fall, the longer it takes and the more expensive it will be. So how do we prevent that they don't fall too deep? So the first layer we call self-help. And that's where our features like FAQ, knowledge content, search would reside. Then we had the ticket system. Where would this look like? Well, this one we put at the very end. Right? Those are the processes which take the longest, are the more costful. So let's see that we make sure that the users may even not fall so deep. So what is this middle layer? And then we figured out, well, that's something new we so far didn't have. And that's our place where we actually can start automating and use machines for that. So we call it machine help. And importantly here is that this layer should implement the policies which already exist for the CS operations. So instead, for them to just look up in the knowledge base, we actually want to put those into code and make sure that our customer agents don't even need to execute those manually. With this picture, we figured out, wow, now we kind of have a way better understanding where AI we actually could add. Right now, we can make conscious choices on which layer, what type of model, what type of AI we can apply in order to make sure that the users don't even need to talk to a human agent. And the more we looked at it, we figured out, well, self-help, machine help, agent, specialist, well, that's smash, yes. So that's now then the internal naming for how we want to solve the issue for business and for the users. So what does this mean? Well, first, this picture helped us to organize. So for each layer, we have dedicated team, and they have a certain purpose, right? They really know in which funnel layer they are and what's their purpose or which process they need to focus. Let's look how this looks like in architecture. That's our old picture. And the first thing we did is introducing a self-help system. Right? It's out of the core. It's not the backend. It functions as a router or a gateway. And now all the business processes actually are part of this system. If we zoom in, we're going to see, well, first, we need to define our API. So we want to clearly make sure what data is expected in and out. Then we had to make a technology choice. Instead of Ruby, we went for Golang. We wanted to get rid of our internal content management system and explored Strapi for that. And for translations, in order to handle all those different FAQ and translations, we chose Phrase, which is actually Hamburg-based, as far as I remember. And what's then still missing here is, right, was like, how do we actually figure out the search problem? So we have the content where all the FAQs and all the languages for all the markets remain. And on that, we added a search index. But the difference here is that we didn't went for the standard search index. We actually chose Vespa. And Vespa is already known in the company, so we use it for overall search for our items as well. And the advantage of Vespa is that it not only is a syntactical search, it even incorporates semantical search results. So this means a user, even if they may not the right term, they would get way better search results related to what they actually want to find. That's self-help. The next layer is now the machine hub, right? That's the one which didn't exist so far, and in a way, then the one where we're focusing most. The first thing we did is we created a new service, machine help, obvious, and Golang again, right? We want to maintain a small zoo, so we stick with the same technology. But communication-wise, here is different, right? So now we are already in the space where the user writes a chat, so we can afford asynchronous communication, improve reliability, and Kafka is already internal default in Vinted, so we went with a Kafka messaging here. But we didn't stop, because now actually the new change can happen, right? Because now we have a dedicated place where you can plug in AI and added a chatbot service. The orchestration for the machine help, which is very much the business process, together with the chatbot service, we use Temporal. Temporal is an orchestration framework, which again in the company is already used for payments and other cases, and it allowed us really to model an end-to-end communication with the member. So this means if they have a reply, if they add attachments, if they make a follow-up, in Temporal we can orchestrate exactly what happened, what should go to chatbot service, or what would be escalated to the customer support agent. The other part which was still missing, and it's important because we want to align to the policies, would then be the process map server, if we call it. Here we have the rules under which circumstances certain cases apply, what templates to send, and what then actually has to be handled by a customer support agent. So next, let's dive into chatbot service, because I guess that's the most interesting one. So the chatbot service, this one is in Python. So we use the LangChain framework for this. And it's mainly owned by our DSA people, so by the data scientists. And the essence of the chat service is to be an AI gateway towards the model. It incorporates business policies as well. But the main purpose is actually to make sure that privacy and security is given. So we do anonymization, we make sure that there's no prompt injections, and we make sure that even the model would not return anything stupid or violating. In order to be efficient, right, we started building agentic setup, which means we have dedicated agent for dedicated use cases, right? So there's, for example, one agent related to shipping and another agent then for other cases. And overall, how it works so far is we utilize RAG. This basically works that whenever a message comes in, we first would look it up in the existing FAQ pages, find a set of FAQs which are related to the current case, and then send everything to the model. The model itself, in this case OpenAI, would find out a helpful answer, which gets returned and eventually then seen by the member. And this goes multiple ways. So meanwhile, it's conversational, we call it, which means if the first response is not helpful enough, the member can actually make a follow-up, and we would do this, we would repeat it. So the last system is agent help. Let's look at this. This is our old ticket system. So far, we haven't done major changes here, but again, we utilized AI or ML, so to say. So there's one model which helps us in categorization, so we can way better route already the help case and make sure it reaches the specialist as fast as possible. Then we work very much with translations, right? You can imagine how many different languages we get in, and not to have specialist agents for all the languages. We allow to translate it back and forth. And again, here we started bringing in the policies. So to remove the need from the agent that they have to memorize everything, we start suggesting certain processes to follow or templates. So where are we at? Overall, I must say, we are still a work in progress. This is the idea. We started it. It's working well, but we figured it's a longer path to go. But so far, we already can show some results. So what was launched and proved already very helpful is the content. So through this change of the dedicated service and the content management system, the quality increased, and the semantic search allows way better search results. The virtual assistant, so the chatbot you saw earlier, is up and running. So when you now have a customer support request, the first thing would be that AI or the model or the chatbot would jump in and would offer you a way to resolve it or give you support. And this can be back and forth. And then at one point of time, if you don't feel like it would help you, then you can escalate and would get to a customer agent. And the first feedback we gathered actually were looking quite good. So people kind of acknowledge that the support is way faster, it helped them, and they kind of found themselves in a way better place than before. But I must say, we are not finished. So the story will continue, and let's see what I then, in a couple of months, I can report on better. So overall, thank you very much.